This is your Thursday Fantasy PSA. Remember to take all your Thursday night players out of your flex spot. Thank you and have a nice week. Episode of Rugby with Pads. I'm your host Sam, and today we have a bit of a week 4 preview. For those of you in England, Thursday night football has probably happened, so I haven't put I might have put the disclaimer on beforehand, but apologies. This is probably coming to you very late at night, and you probably haven't had time to watch it. But regardless, we are going to do a little bit of a preview of all the week's games, take a think about who we like, who we don't like. We've already added our waivers earlier on this week. If you haven't listened to that, go watch it now. There's still time to find your waivers. But without further ado, let's take a look at this week's games. And we're going to start with a Thursday night football game. A probably drab affair in Arizona. Now, Arizona have not impressed. I don't think that's a shocking statement here, but I still really like them. I don't know what it is about them. Obviously, Connor is out, and this is a huge miss for all of them. I still think McBride has a lot of potential to be the number one tight end out there, although there's a lot of guys vying for his position at the moment. Trey Benson is a decent ad. Is it the right ad for this week? Probably not. I would have added him as a high upside prospect for later on, but I don't think tonight it's going to be that great. Not only because Thursday night football traditionally isn't that great. I know I've had a couple of good games, but they're going away. Seattle are coming into Arizona. They're going to try and put a defensive squeeze on Arizona, and I think that's going to be very difficult to get hold of. The Seahawks defense is good, so I think expect the Seahawks defense to do the business and Darnold to do just enough, potentially. Kyler will throw a lot, but I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure. They've got a decent rush. It's interesting to see that kind of evolution under Mike McDonald, where his name is, the new defensive coordinator / coach in the Seattle land. Oh, it's late. You can tell. In Seattle, sorry. I don't think the running game for either team is going to get going this week. If it is, it's going to go through Ken Walker. Yes, I was slightly wrong. He had a great game. Will he have the consistency? I don't think so, because I think he will get injured. But I don't think it's going to be this week for either team. I expect it to be a game where both teams try and do something through the air. I just don't know what it's going to be. But my sneaky sit, because I just don't think he's going to have the ability to get free, is Kyler. And he's a sneaky sit not because I think he's going to do badly, but I think I think he's just going to not do as well as you'd expect. And he's probably number one on my sit list at the moment, even though I've got him in too many places where I can't not play him. So, after a disappointing probably Thursday night, you're probably thinking, what's up next? Well, we have another disappointing away game, probably, Croke Park in Dublin, the first of the international series to land in Europe this year. We've got Minnesota Vikings, who I think played 2 games last year over in the UK and Ireland against Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers played in England last year. He's playing in Ireland this year. I don't know what to think about these games, because these games often do disappoint because it's just a weird time. It's a weird environment. Everyone gets a bit off. I don't know. I think it could be a tough day for the Vikings, though, because the Pittsburgh defense is really coming into its own, and Carson Wentz is good in a spot, but is he going to be reliable? If JJ McCarthy hasn't gotten it going, and starts to actually do something, it could be a very difficult day, especially if Carson Wentz is under center. He's been able to get the ball out quickly, so look to the hikes of Hawkinson and potentially Mason to pick up a lot of targets, but I'm not putting any weight behind Justin Jefferson at the moment. I just can't do it. I'm standing down Mason, though, in particular on the running game, because I think TJ Watts just looks like a game wreck. He's just coming into that phase of his season. And he's been able to wreck at all phases, including the run game as well. And once again, favouring Calvin Austin because I just think he's just more open and less obvious than DK Metcalf as well. Who travels better, DK Metcalf on Skittles or Calvin Austin, who probably has a normal regime? We'll yet to see. But it's going to be tough in the middle with a decent linebacker core for Minnesota as well. So I think this is going to be a defensive game. I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch, but not one to watch live. Sunday afternoon slate, the traditional slate, which I will be watching on Red Zone, of course, kicks us off with a load of games. Let's start with Washington, Atlanta here. I am pitching for Atlanta to strike back as well. Expect pressure down the middle from Washington. They've got a great linebacker core once again and a great kind of interior pass rush, I think, from what I've seen anyway. That said, they've got terrible CBs outside of their number one spot, so look for Mooney and the secondary matchups. Pitts will continue to struggle against the linebacker core, I think, but I think it's an opportunity to start Mooney this week, and I'm putting him in all of my lineups where I can. I'm fading Pitts just because I'm fading Pitts. I don't think he's that good a tight end anymore. On the Washington side, I think Debo is a really, really good start, especially with Terry McLaurin kind of on the fringes. He did well when Mariota played. He also did really, really well when Jaden Daniels played. So I think he is a great weapon that they are going to use to great effect, especially with Austin Eckler out of the game. He's going to be used more in the passing and screen game. New Orleans, Buffalo. New Orleans was a no-show last week. And it's disappointing because so far they've been pretty feisty. Buffalo's defense hasn't been that great, and I do see a weakness at linebacker still. I expect Juwan Johnson to still get his. He's definitely a start for me, especially at tight end where it's a bit of a wasteland. But Buffalo will do build things, and Josh Allen will just be too much for them. So you're starting who you're going to start. You're not starting who you're not going to start. I think Chris Olave is okay. Not someone I'm going to really talk about. He's someone you have to play because he's your third round pick. We're going to move on to Cleveland, Detroit, Battle of the North. Here, NFC versus AFC. Cleveland have a good defense, but I just don't think they can do it against Detroit, who will put the hammer down once again, expect no mercy, and very little the Browns can actually do to stop them. I think that Jared Goff isn't really afraid of edge pressure. He's afraid of pressure in his face, and that's not necessarily how Cleveland play. Although they did pull up pressure from all over the shop, I just think the Lions just have something, and they're just great. Monty looks like a play this season, this week, and I know that sounds weird going up against a really good defense. You're obviously going to play Gibbs, but if they're focusing on getting that edge rush, there leaves an opportunity for Monty to do really well. And he passed to the hot hand. He's great, and they found a system that works for him. And despite him being the one now, I think established as that, I don't think Quinton Judkins is going to be a start. He's not going to have the opportunity to create the continued upward momentum that he has shown in the last couple of games, 94 yards, just avoiding the 100 yards. So I'm avoiding Judkins in this one. I'm thinking about Monty. Outside of that, you're playing the guys you play. You're not playing the guys you're not playing. Avoid the Cleveland quarterbacks. I think we might see a change this week, potentially, depending on what damage the Detroit defense can do. Back to them. Carolina, New England. I don't like either of these teams. I keep going back and forth on them. I think New England will do well, but I would say to you guys, spool up Hunter Henry, because despite Carolina doing a number on Atlanta were abjectly poor last week, and you can see there's panic in the building there. I'll talk about them in a bit, but you can start up Hunter Henry, and I wrote this before I found out the news that Trevor Henderson is taking the initial starter reps in training this week, but you can drop down Ramondre, I think, to and Gibson as well. The path is open for Trevor Henderson, and long may it continue. I hope his season will go from strength to strength. I don't have any of him, but I may be wish casting, but he is electric with the ball in his hands, and he has not fumbled nearly as much as Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. I won't bore you. T-Mac's going to ball out. He'll do well. I think it's going to be a tough game for both teams. Drake May, I think, could be a really, really interesting play, though, especially as I've been starting to see him just moving around. He's moving a lot with his feet, not doing too many scrambles, but he's just really pocket aware, and I really like him. But Hunter Henry is the guy. I think Carolina do struggle against tight ends, and Hunter Henry just seems to be the favoured target, especially in the end zone. He's just got that way about him, hasn't he? Los Angeles, New York. This is Chargers, New York. Amarian Hampton, please be set free. Najee's on IR now, I think. I think he's done for the season. That's it. Dart starting as well. Interesting play. I think it's potentially arrows up for the tight ends. Maybe Cam Scatterbo. I don't really know. Yet to be seen. But they're going up against such a tough defense. Do not play your Giants. I just don't think it's going to work out for you. This was not the game to start his NFL journey on. I think he's going to be beaten up, bruised, and potentially injured if you're not careful, all to avoid Daboll getting fired. Dart is on my do not start list. Hampton is on my start list. Please start him. I think he's going to be fantastic this week, and they're going to have plenty more opportunity to get him going as well. Philly at Tampa Bay. Philly. This could be a tough game for both sides, I think. And it'll be interesting to see if the 400-pound Desmond, what's his name, lineman can make it on the field to go against the tush push. There's been a lot said about tush push this week, about teams feigning the cadence of it as well. I say it's all sportsmanship. Apparently it's against the rules, but no one's ever called it since like 1997 or something like that. Anyway, despite that, Tampa Bay do have a good defensive line. Could potentially stop it, but it probably won't. They'll get ahead of it. Both teams will have had dramatic finishes of late. They can't finish off a game, but I expect Philly to run it down their throats. I'm up on Baker and down on the run game, but it depends who turns up if Mike Evans is out. So you're looking at Chris Godwin potentially coming back this week. He's a full participant. Looking at Sterling Shepard. Igbuka is an obvious choice here. On the Philly side, you're playing who you're playing. You're not playing who you're not. I think it's completely game script dependent for those guys, and that's why I'm avoiding them as best I can, except if I've got Jalen Hurts and I need first down points. Tennessee, Houston. These AFC South matchups have got to stop sometime, right? they're just not good, are they? I'm just trying to find my notes here. But yeah, I think I wrote here. This is so AFC South. A team that can't win, can't do anything, who just can't anything, I think I wrote, and a team that can't get going on offense. You pick who's who. They're both bad at each other. We've had firings at the play caller level. I think there's a self-firing from Callahan. Yeah. Anyway, Nico should be a good option to and able to play again and do the business against a team with basically zero pass rush. And I'd also expect Nick Chubb to get something going on the ground as well. As for the Titans, I don't like it. They're going up against a tough D. They're not going to be able to score many points. Therefore, your fancy options are limited. So that's what I'd say. I'm not excited about anyone on that team. Indianapolis Colts versus my LA Rams. I would love to say this is a slam dunk for the Rams, but Danny Dimes keeps Danny Dimesing in the opposite way. He's shining bright like a diamond. Oh man, that feels so corny. Anyway, this is the first real test for him, I think, against a feisty Rams team who were unlucky to miss out last week. That said, strong receivers do well against the Rams. I do strong big receivers. Pittman, Warren potentially could be a really good one. This team goes through Taylor. It goes through which the run game is definitely a weakness on the Rams, even though it is turned into less of a weakness with good play and good scheming. I think Devontae Adams has a breakout game, maybe multiple touchdowns. Puka should get his first touchdown as well. I think this could be a high-scoring game because neither defense is the best on paper. I think Rams is slightly better. It'd be interesting to see whether Danny Dimes finally does crack after 3 weeks of amazing play. I'm looking at Warren because we struggle against tight ends and big receivers anyway. Outside of that, I've talked about Devontae Adams. You're playing who you're playing. You're not playing who you're not playing. Kyron Williams could be interesting. I think Blake Corum could be interesting for this game. See if he gets more reps. He's been slowly creeping up a little bit, and we're finally seeing what we saw of him out in Michigan. Jacksonville, San Francisco. This is going one way, isn't it? I would say that, but defenses win championships, don't they? And San Francisco seems to be losing a lot of their defense with Nick Bosa going out. I would say, can Lawrence do it in front of a team with next to no pass rush with Bosa now out? I certainly think it's a possibility, but then it's not a high probability. This is definitely a CMC game. It's running through him. Pearsall is going to be there as well. I'm fading Hunter until he finds a stride. And I'm not too keen on Brian Thomas Jr. either. It's not happening. So I'm putting the Jags wide receiver core in the bin. There we go, in the bin. They are sits this week for sure. Next, we have Baltimore, Kansas City. This should be a potential Super Bowl matchup if they weren't both in the AFC, but it will be an AFC Championship match. They're massive save there. Baltimore. Yeah. What are you doing? You can't, 2-1. Sorry, 1-2 for both teams. I don't know how they've got into this position. There's no running game for Kansas City, and they will be facing a D-line that needs to prove themselves. They didn't have Jason. Is it Madabuike? Never had know how to pronounce it. I would stand down Pacheco, stand at the Baltimore D as they can get to the QB still and do some stuff. Pacheco is a write-off for me. I think his career, unless there is a resurgence, is over. Wouldn't be surprised if they traded for someone on the open market. I don't know who would be available as a second running back. Tyler Algier would be great there. I'd love to see him released there in a Kansas City offense who could do some damage. However, that's wish casting. On the Baltimore side, likely could be back, but I think the reliance on Mark Andrews will continue. Yes, he is the most streaky player, and yes, I'm going to get hurt, but I'm going to be starting him anyway because tight end is a dumpster fire once again this year. In the late window as well, we'll finish off with Chicago, Las Vegas. Chicago are going to win this. That's all I can say. They're a better team. But I think the question I'm asking is, can Genti break out? He's had over 99% of his yards, and not many of them at that have come after contact. That means he's getting tackled behind the line so often and still making yards. He is good. Vegas is rubbish. I saw fun enough. I was just talking to someone. I saw someone at the school drop off the other day wearing a Raiders jersey, and I just thought, you poor soul. And this coming from a Rams fan who had Jeff Fisher for a very long time. Anyway, I'd look to play Genti against Chicago, potentially, as they're not great against the run, and I think we've seen that in previous weeks. But there are definitely better options available to you. I think he is a RB2 contender, but probably better than we've had in the past. Don't expect Trey Tucker to do what he did last week. Again, he's not scoring 40 points, especially not against the Bears secondary, who is pretty good, even though I think Johnson's out potentially. I'm putting my money on Caleb in this game, though. I think he is going to run riot, and he is my QB start of the week, I believe. Sunday Night Football, we've got Green Bay against Dallas. The Micah Parsons kind of revenge game. I think it's kind of a soft revenge game. Green Bay will be making a stand after losing to the Browns, though I think that's going to be the thing. Start their defense. The Cowboys are likely to be without CD, and I'm sure whether Pickens can support them as a true number one. Jake Ferguson could get free, and I think he'll be seen as an upside player with a lot of pass rush, but expect Dak to be dashed and damaged. I'm avoiding most of my most of my Cowboys, probably except Jake Ferguson. His passing volume will be enough to keep him relevant, though, but he's not going to reach the high heights of what you expect. Was Green Bay, you're playing who you're playing, you're not playing, you're avoiding the wide receiver call because you never know who it's going to be. You're probably playing Tucker Kraft if he's available, and you're playing, obviously, the D and Josh Jacobs. Going to Monday night, we've got a double header, which is still super weird, and it just throws off my weekend a little bit. We've got the Jets versus Miami. AFC East drudgery at its best. The Jets secondary isn't that great at the moment, especially with Sauce Gardner potentially out with a concussion, so expect Tyreek to get loose at some point. But the pass rush is still okay, and so there could be a lot of quick outs. So look at Devin Achan as well. I think is definitely a good start, and Waddle, if he's available, could be an interesting play. I don't know who they've got at tight end. I don't think they've got anyone consistent, so you're not looking at anyone there. Fields is a great start with plenty of room to run against a tawdry Miami defense. I think it'll be plentiful if he gets past the pass rush and into the kind of secondary. Expect him to pop off and sync up his partnership with Garrett Wilson once more. I like Justin Fields a lot this week. I really do. I don't like much going on in Miami, though, except Tyreek Hill for once. Finally, we've got Cincinnati versus Denver. Sorry, that was a pregnant pause there. Last game of the week on Monday Night Football. Again, it was just weird. I was just seeing 2 Monday Night Football games. It just weirds me out. Even in the broadcast, it weirds me out. Cincy may be in free fall, however, and it should be looking to trade for a QB, in my opinion. Kirk Cousins, go get him. He would be a great fit, I think, if they want to save the season, but they won't. They're going up against a fierce secondary while struggling to move the ball in general. Expect them to get picked apart. This should be a game for Sutton to shine, as he's going up against basically no secondary, and be an end zone threat, I think. And Nix as well to be protected. He can pick out guys as he needs to. So Sutton start him up. So that's your preview for all the games. Who should you be starting? Let's give you a summary of each position. The starts at QB, I'm looking at Caleb Williams. I think he's going to have a great game against Las Vegas. Hampton, he's got the world at his hands. Start him at running back. Debo is my wide receiver start of the week. I think he is going to continue on the success he's had. Henry was my pickup of the week in waivers, and he is my start of the week at tight end. Obviously, we are not looking at the superstars here. We are looking at the also-rans, the guys who are going to win you your games and your matchups against the guys who might be favoured. Okay, these are the guys who are going to give you the edge. And at your flex, you want Cortland Sutton, just spoken about him. At your week 4 sits, unfortunately, Kyler going up against the Seattle defense on Thursday night. I really hate to say it. I really want to be proved wrong on this one. And I hope I am, because I've got him in too many places that I can't not play him. Isaiah Pacheco, I think he's done. He's done. So he's probably a drop candidate after this week if it goes bad. The Jags wide receivers, until they can sort themselves out, I'm avoiding all of them. I'm also avoiding Pitts because it's funny to pick on Pitts. And Mason, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to reach the high heights that he reached last week. And that's why he is my flex sit here. If you've got better options, there are them out there. So that is your lot, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you have fantastic success, unless you're playing against me in week 4. If you like the pod, please like, favorite, subscribe, share, all of that fun stuff. You can reach me on all the socials at rugbypads, rugbypads.com to get yourself some merch, get yourself a membership, all of that fun stuff, get more broadcast stuff there. And without further ado, let me just say thank you. Thank you for listening, and if you're listening really late and getting your fill before Thursday Night Football, you're special. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all very soon on the Virtual Gridiron.